Well, in 1963, in one of my trips around the world when I went to see Baba, I had the opportunity to ask him a few personal questions. Everybody recall in those days that, well, the flower generation was coming too. In those days, you know, all these new young kids start getting sort of a kicks with the drugs, start playing with drugs, and well, and that impressed me so much that I was reading a book on a ship about that subject, and the author was a Canadian doctor, I remember, Kenneth, I believe was his name. Well, he was emphasizing the use of the hallucinative drugs or herbs for this purpose, for mystic experiences. Well, I remember the name of this plant was a peyote, and this peyote was in Mexico. And in Mexico, some Huxley, that English author, you know, he published a book about about his works with this kind of drug, and he experimented himself, and also with some kind of mushrooms that they grow in the desert over there in Mexico somewhere, and where some Indian tribe, they experiment with that, and they keep it very, very secret among themselves, not to divulge the name of this plant and so forth. Well, I say, if that's the case, well, it's got something to do with spirituality, as if it expands the mind to such an extent that one can perceive the unknown and so the occult. So, well, that intrigued me so much. I said, well, when I get just go to see Baba, that's going to be the first thing I want to ask him. And I jotted down a piece of paper so I don't want to forget. I said, what I'm going to write, ask Baba. And I was very well prepared. And also, I bought myself a nice Polaroid camera with a film, and I keep it in air conditioning so it won't spoil the film. And when I get to Baba, before that, well, I went on a train and hanging in those boxcars, and you know, having all kind of difficulties to get to Pune, and from Pune to Meherabad, and renting a chitney or a jeep or whatever you could get, and a Tonga after that to go to Baba's place. And in one of those meetings, when I met Baba, I sit down in a rug, and then Baba inquired for me, for my family. How's that? How you feel? How you doing? You know, Baba inquires about everything that concerns everybody. How's your lovely wife, Helen? I said, Baba is she's all right. She sent her love to you. He said, and well, he said, she is my Lila. You remember in one time he said, Manju and Lila? No, I said, I don't know. Well, that's a mystical theme here in India, like the English have a sort of a Romeo and Juliet, so something like that, you know. Well, I said, thanks, Baba. I will tell her, convey that to her. And well, but I was so concerned about this drug business. I said, I want to go and shoot, write it, tell him right away, see what he's going to say. So Eric asked me, what else you want to ask? Well, Baba, I say, I've been reading a book, and it deals with this kind of drugs that one can experiment, and by using it, one could attain certain states of consciousness that exalts the mind, and you know, take you to a great well, no, quite got intoxication, but acceleration, and right away after Baba just look at that and stop. He says, stop. I said, that, he said, is nothing but a crutch. It's something that you're leaning onto it, but it won't do you no good. He said, if you could get by God in a pill, he said, there won't be no need for me to be here. You see. So whatever you're thinking, as you just drop it and tell anybody that is fooling around with it to drop it completely, not to indulge in the use of any drug that is not only addictive, you get addicted to it, and later it's very hard to shake off, do you a lot of harm to your physical, but also to your mind. You see, derange your mind, and you'll be winding up in any mental hospital. You convey this to the young people in any place, that whenever they want to experiment with any kind of drug, even marijuana, I said, not to do it. Well, I had in mind a friend that the previous year was with me in the Sahawas, and he was indulging himself in that kind of thing. I didn't want to mention to Baba, but Baba right away knew it, because somehow he made me relate to that friend and that was the first thing I done. I don't want to say the name. The kid is very nice, and he overcame that. I'm glad to. And ever since then, well, we've been hearing about this drug addiction with the young people and this and that, and never like, well, I said, this is the time that we need, like never before, the advice of Baba to stick up for that advice that he gave me, and to convey to everybody, not only for their own well-being, but for the well-being and well-being of the society in general. Well, I asked Baba also, what can we do for this young generation? How can we set him into the path of virtue or good deeds? And he says, you recall one time one of my sayings, and if everybody understands it, they will act for it and live accordingly. And I say, what it is, Baba? And then Eric remind me that it was written in one of the discourses, I believe. And the saying is, as I will quote, to penetrate into the essence of all being and significance, and to release the fragrance of that inner attainment for the benefit and welfare of others, while expressing in the world of forms love, harmony, and beauty. That's the sole game of life that has any intrinsic and absolute value. Any other attainment, incident, or happening having themselves not everlasting importance. Well, that struck very, very deep within the core of my mind, and I never forget that. I have tried to advise others accordingly, and I, up to this moment, I believe that's one of the most humane and beautiful sayings of Baba. After this session, we had some humorous things with Baba. For instance, he liked to eat ice cream, and like a little baby, he sends to go get the ice creams, and vanilla ice cream, he was his favorite, I remember. Well, we had some nice ice cream. The Mandali brought some ice cream there, and while Baba was eating, he mentioned like that, are you satisfied? He asked, oh yes, Baba, wonderful ice cream, wonderful. So, but I have a better ice cream, he said. That's the elixir of life. See, that's an ice cream that only comes coated with the works of the perfect master. I say, always try to imbibe yourself with that kind of sweetness that comes in the teachings of a perfect master. I knew that right away that what he was saying, that it was in response to something, a quest within myself, that I was inquiring within myself. Then after that, well, in his humor, he said, do you play cards? I said, well, Baba, sometimes, I was kind of ashamed to say I play poker or thing like that, so you play rummy? Well, okay, so let's go play some kind of rummy. And they have in India some game that they call Patang, somewhere there in Hindu, and it's more like rummy, and whoever loses, if you lose, then you gotta rub your nose against the floor. And I was one of the great losers, but he was good. And every time I lost, made rub your nose. So I gotta rub my nose against the floor, and everybody laughed, and I may feel like I was a fool or something, but that has some kind of inner spiritual value, because every time Eric explained it to me that I rubbed my nose, well, I was wearing out many of my sanskaras. So I didn't mind it after all, even with the whole embarrassment and all that. I said, well, if this is going to rub sanskaras off, I rub my nose till I won't have nothing else. I said, they all grind off. And, well, that's one of the humorous aspects of Baba, that with everybody, with the Mandali, with whoever was there, always inquired and make you feel like you were in home, like all the time. And after maybe a couple hours session, well, they dismissed me and said, you're going to go now back to Pune, or you wait till tomorrow, whatever it was. You have tea in the morning with us, early in the morning, when the birds start singing, the squirrels coming out, and well, they have tea about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was ready, perhaps, if he let me have another meeting in the hall, stay with another session with him, or take the 8 o'clock Pune train to Bombay. And not for another maybe 6 months again that I might come back with the ship again and see him, if I was fortunate enough, or he let me, because sometimes if he was in seclusion, he might not, in his whims, he might say, well, your love is enough, you don't have to see me, and that was it. And no questions I could ask. Sometimes he always reminds my love to the family, to every lover, to every Baba lover, and my love will sustain you. My love will carry you through all your difficulties, and always a good message of love. And Baba, well, has been to me, even after dropping his body, that personification of love that in one time I was looking for, and like the Greek Aristotle, I would say, eureka, or I found it. Think. And this is a conviction I have within myself, that I will remember the personification of love in this world in the form of Baba as my soul divinity. And the quest of my soul, I think, is answered. In one time I want to meet God, and I think I done it. And right now I carry on just in my heart till the day when perhaps he wants me to come back again to be a tool of his grace and love, compassion, and all these virtues that he incarnated while he was here. That's my belief in Avatar Meher Baba. That's my believing in my God. Jai Baba, that's the only thing I could say in departing. Perhaps my wife now would like to say anything more. Ellen? You go ahead.
I think I already mentioned that I pray every day, and I just hope the Baba will make me the instrument of his love and grace. And Jai Baba, and God love it. Thank you, my friends.
I like to thank our dear friends, the Luck brothers, that and then Scott too, that so generous, came here and spend the whole day helping us to narrate a little bit of this tape video that they have so generous offered us. So we thank him very much from the bottom of our heart, and may Baba bless him forever. Good Baba. Edward here asked me if Baba ever made me cry. Well, that's a difficult question to answer, because if I mean by physically crying, I would say yes. When one time I believe I cried when in one of the meetings with Baba, I believe was during the Sahavas in 1962. During that time, I believe I was revoked by Baba in some little incident, and which I didn't carry out. I was kind of feeling bad about it, and when I met Baba, I did recognize that my fault, and somehow I think I express it physically by crying in Baba's feet. I'm not ashamed. I'm not at all ashamed to admit it. As a man, well, we have our faults, and I admitted that perhaps I was in recognition of that incident that made me cry. Perhaps it was my fault, and I cried. And not only that, I felt lots of relief after that. In his compassion, he forgave me. And not only that, but I felt such a relief in my soul that God has forgiven me. Like in many times, He made me say the prayer of repentance. And with the prayer of repentance, He said, I will forgive you. And I felt, well, that the least I could do is to sincerely, not to do what He wanted me not to do. And if in that occasion I did cry, like I believe in many other ones, perhaps when I was close to Baba, when I embraced his feet, I done it. But it was a recognition of the great love also, and that incident in India when I went and during the Sahavas, and I was so emotionally upset that I didn't care if anybody see me or say anything about it. So spontaneously I expressed my feelings, and my feelings, they were also combined with such a joy, such a magnificent feeling of well-being after, that to be accepted and forgiven by the grace of Baba, that is it will perdure in the rest of my life, that incident. So
Did Baba ever make you laugh?
just also Baba made me laugh lots of times when he liked to somebody to come up with a joke and to say a joke, and you can help it, you gotta laugh, you know. And Baba was very, very much given to those frivolous jokes about you say a joke and start laughing, and any little thing like so they not only laughing but crying or anything, but this part and parcel of Baba's life. So
Did you ever tell Baba jokes?
I do recall to have told Baba some jokes, but right now I don't think I remember which one. And one of them, I think I did say one joke one time to Baba, and but it was a silly joke, really, you know. And I said, Baba, you're talking so much about sense. You know something? I said, a nickel and a dime went across the Golden Gate Bridge. I said, the nickel fell off and the dime didn't. Why it didn't? so he laughed, you know. And I had to say, well, because it got more sense. Well, that was one of the little, you know, frivolous among others when I used to sometimes and pick some